A commission established by President Biden is weighing potential widespread changes to the Supreme Court. A new report highlights possible changes to the bench, like court packing or expanding the courts and term limits. This comes as the Supreme Court gears up for several divisive cases this session, such as abortion and religious liberty. The commission is scheduled to meet today to discuss these preliminary reports, and Bo Erickson has been following this and is here to discuss. So thanks for joining us this morning, Bo. Biden's Supreme Court Commission released drafts of 5 separate reports. What do these reports cover?
Hi, Anne-Marie. So this is one of those slow-moving government processes, a commission that we've been watching for the past 6 months. And while it is not the most flashy thing that they debated, it is still very important. So this is why we're going to break it down. One of the most hotly debated reforms that they talked about was, you said, court packing. It's expanding the court. There are currently 9 Supreme Court justices. And ever since in 2016, when Merrick Garland wasn't granted a hearing for his nomination to the Supreme Court by President Obama at the time, some progressives have said that the court actually needs to expand to offset the now conservative majority of 6-3. But the commission looked at these reforms, and while they are not officially recommending reforms to President Biden, they did pour some cold water on this idea of expanding the size of the court. They wrote in those draft reports that they are going to be reviewing today that the commissioners of this reform panel are divided on whether court expansion is actually a solution to this. They said that court expansion is likely to undermine rather than enhance the Supreme Court's legitimacy. And they also questioned that if the size of the court would be enhanced, that it would question the role of the Supreme Court in the constitutional system. So those are very strong words for a group that is supposedly not going to be recommending any reforms, yes or no, to President Biden for his ultimate decisions.
So I have to ask you, if the purpose is not to provide recommendations to the president, then why do all of this at all? I can only imagine that, considering what you just read, this is kind of hand-delivering talking points to the GOP if this conversation comes back up again. So what was the purpose here?
Exactly right. There are some progressives within the president's own party that are now telling us, me and another CBS reporter, Melissa Quinn, that this commission was all just kind of a process to give some cover for President Biden to not advocate for major reforms for the court. They say that this was just kind of one of those slow-moving government issues that allows them to say, we looked at it and it doesn't really work out. One interesting thing, though, is that this commission did seem like they were saying that we should look at potentially limiting the term limits for the Supreme Court justices. There are no term limits right now. They serve as a full lifetime appointment. And the number that a lot of the commissioners were passing around was 18 years for a term limit. Now, of course, this is something that President Biden could read in these draft reports, and he could come out in favor of this. But ultimately, any big decisions that would affect the Supreme Court would have to be passed by Congress.
Okay, so let's pivot over to the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th insurrection riot that happened on the Capitol. So Steve Bannon was supposed to show up, and he didn't. And now we're hearing that the panel is considering perhaps criminal charges against Steve Bannon. Just where do things go from here? What possible charges could there be?
Very important to follow here. The Select Committee that is looking into January 6th said last night that they are going to be moving forward with contempt charges, which are criminal charges, because when those members of Congress subpoena individuals, they want you there. And so now they are going to potentially be using Steve Bannon as an example to other former Trump administration officials to say, this is what's going to happen if you do not comply with our committee's request. Right now, they are saying that they're going to move forward on those contempt charges votes. That's going to be early next week. They weren't really expecting Steve Bannon to participate because I guess he has told them that he wasn't going to. But this all hits at kind of a larger contemporary issue of this is what happens when President Biden said that there is no executive privilege warranted within the communications between former Trump officials and President Trump. President Biden could have said that executive privilege is in motion here, but he said it's not. So these Trump officials are forced to face the congressional committee.
So yesterday, President Biden signed the short-term bill to raise the debt ceiling by $480 billion. But this is only going to last us until around December 3rd. So, what is happening now? Please tell me that they're not shelving negotiations until the end of November and then we're going to be right back in a crisis situation.
Well, I can't promise anything like that. I think the most important thing for people to keep a watch on here is that now we have this debt ceiling. This is paying for the nation's debt. We also, by the end of the year, the Congress has to pass funding for future spending as well. And oh, by the way, the Biden administration is trying to pass their huge infrastructure package and their social spending package in trillions of dollars. So I think it's kind of just important to see that sequentially there's a lot going on by the end of the year. Tactically, though, some Democrats think that specifically on the debt ceiling, because if it is not passed, there'd be such grave consequences like veterans wouldn't get paid and interest payments would just totally skyrocket. Some Democrats are thinking that Republicans, most namely Mitch McConnell, are going to balk and actually pass the debt ceiling once again by the end of the year. So maybe there's some assurances there.
Well, let's hope so. Bo, thank you very much.
Have a good day.